Welcome, everybody, to Co-op City. My name is Eva Kindaichi Lazar, and I want to say you can never have too many parks. When I moved into Co-op City, I was the mother of 2 little girls. Now, I am the mother of 3 beautiful women. My oldest daughter is a psychologist, Ayano, a math teacher, and Mickey works as a receptionist in a veterinary clinic. But back in the day, they were just little girls. And when you are the parent of small children, parks are your lifeline. The parks at Co-op City, where I met many of the friends that are here tonight, to this day. The parks give us a place to breathe and our kids a place to thrive. Parks are the spaces that help make Co-op City a neighborhood, a community. Parks help civilize us. In fact, just the other day, I said to my husband, wouldn't it be nice if they cleaned up the area around the water inlet and made it a real park? And now, that's going to happen. We'll have a new park which will add value to Co-op City in the Bronx financially and emotionally. One day soon, we'll be able to walk along the water through our new park, and that'll be so beautiful. Now, I would like to introduce a man who understands just how important parks are. So, to everyone in the city, I guess he doesn't really, I think you know, our mayor, Bill Deblasio.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, Eva, I love what you said, and I want to say as a parent also, I remember so clearly when my children, Chiara and Dante, were growing up. And you're right, the parks are a lifeline. When your kids need to get outside to the playground or the ball field or whatever it is, it's something every parent depends on to give their child a chance to run and play and have a great time and work off their energy, because they have a lot of energy, don't they? And you need parks, and you need particularly parks that help people enjoy life, help people appreciate the things that we in the city don't always get enough of. We don't get enough of nature. We don't get enough beautiful views of everything that this earth is about. But parks give us that. They reconnect us to the earth. They reconnect us to nature. They give us some fresh air to breathe and some room to spread out. And we have to keep making sure that every community gets what it needs when it comes to parks. And let me talk to you about why it's so important that we're here. Co-op City is an amazing place. Literally the biggest affordable housing development in the history of New York City. Almost 45,000 New Yorkers make up this extraordinary community. And it was created to be affordable for working people, and it continues to be. And there's really nothing else like it. There are some other wonderful communities in this city that have a lot of affordable housing, some wonderful developments, but there's nothing on the scale of Co-op City. And the history of Co-op City, why is it even called Co-op City? Because the vision was of shared destiny, people working together, people owning in common. There's something very powerful about the philosophy and the vision that led to the creation of this amazing place. I've spent a lot of time in this community. I've really enjoyed the time I've spent here because I feel like people to this day continue that commitment to each other. And I think that makes this one of the special places in New York City. And Eva, I want to thank you. You were chosen to be a great example of the people who live here. And I loved what you said about your own family, but I know you epitomized the values of this great place. Let's thank Eva for all she's done. You are very welcome. And while I am thanking people, some people are going to speak in a moment, but let me thank some other people here. Of course, the man who's going to turn this amazing vision into action, our Parks Commissioner, Mitch Silver. And I want to thank the chair of the Community Board 10, Martin Prince. Thank you so much for your leadership. and the general manager of the River Bay Corporation that runs this great place, Noelle Ellison. Thank you very, very much. So it's important to have more park space for the people of Co-op City because of how special Co-op City is, but it's also important because it epitomizes what we are talking about in our Bronx Week. You know, I don't have to tell anyone here, not only is the Bronx a special place, a place that everyone in this room loves, but it's also a place that over many, many decades didn't get its fair share from the city government. We know this. It's not a radical statement. I've talked about this for years. Too many years, in fact, for generations, our city government was focused too much on Manhattan, not enough on the outer boroughs. And the Bronx often felt forgotten. And when it comes to things like park space, there's long been a feeling that for working people, they didn't get to have the same amenities that some folks in more privileged neighborhoods had. And I can understand for people here in Co-op City, knowing that that beautiful waterfront was there, looking out over Pelham Bay Park, but there wasn't access to that waterfront the way there should be. That's frustrating, right? To have 45,000 people, more than enough people to merit it, but the city never got around to doing it. So when I heard at a meeting with leaders of Co-op City how this was a missing link, this was a lost opportunity to not give people this waterfront access, we started getting to work to figure out how to do it. And we were looking for something that would be a solution for the long term for the community. And it was particularly important to recognize, you know, those extraordinary views, that access to the Hutchinson River. That was a priceless option we wanted the community to have. So we are announcing something special today that we know will enhance the lives of all the residents of Co-op City. The City of New York will create a new 1.4 acre park right on the waterfront. And I have to say, I want to thank everyone at the River Bay Corporation. They've been great partners in this discussion, how to make this work. Now, everyone in this room knows sometimes there's a good idea, and the good idea sits around for a long time because people can't get on the same page. Everyone got on the same page really quick here. I want to thank everyone at River Bay, and we're going to give them a lot of credit. They're donating the land. They're donating the land. We're creating the park. And together we're going to do something amazing. Now, remember the history. And this really gets to, again, how Co-op City was formed. Not so long ago in New York City, decades ago, there weren't anywhere near the parks and the playgrounds we have today. And actually, people in communities all over the city stood up and said, that's not fair. That's not fair to us. That's not fair to our families. That's not fair to our children. Once upon a time, there were huge, dense neighborhoods that didn't have playgrounds. And people fought for them, and they fought for fairness. And it's something that this city decided had to be a major priority. In fact, the first time ever in the history of the United States that there was a municipal playground. The first one ever was in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. It started here in the city. The whole idea that a city should have to provide playgrounds for kids started right here in the city. But that being said, even though the idea was here, and over the years more and more parks were created, that is not necessarily the same thing as equity. So we've always had the impulse to give people that chance to enjoy parks, but it wasn't spread out fairly across the 5 boroughs. The last 3 years, we've really tried to focus on changing that. We've helped to move along a great project that was underway before, and we've built upon it, Brooklyn Bridge Park, which is an amazing park for Brooklyn. We just purchased the last parcel for Bushwick Inlet Park, also in Brooklyn, another part of waterfront like here that wasn't accessible, that needed to be. And we've invested in community parks and anchor parks in all 5 boroughs, and this means the kind of parks that people depended on in neighborhoods. They weren't famous name parks. They didn't have conservancies. The only people who knew about them were people who lived really nearby, but they were a lifeline, particularly for parents. We've put more of our money into those kind of parks. And this is another part of making the change in the city, to make sure this community had more. You know, it's not fair that the waterfront only be for people who are privileged. It's not fair that open space and green space only be for people who have resources. It's supposed to be for everyone. So this step today is about fairness and equity, and making sure, regardless of your zip code, you have access to parks. The Bronx week that we've been going through has been fantastic. This is the end of the fourth day of Bronx week, and I have to, first of all, thank everyone who's been so welcoming, so many people who have offered great ideas, who have raised important issues. But this is how government works best, when it stays close to the people. And this week, the entire city government, all the leadership of the city government has been here in the Bronx, listening and recognizing things that we can do more, that we can do better, that we can do faster. We've heard ideas, honestly, we never heard before. Because when you spend time with people, you get new ideas, new proposals, you get insight. So this has really been helping us. And this is an example of the kind of thing that comes from listening. And I will say one thing about the Bronx: not only have people been warm and welcoming, I think it's fair to say that Bronxites have strong opinions. I got 3 hours of strong opinions at the town hall meeting last night. But I really appreciated the issues that people raised, and it was a great example of people standing up and really believing in their community. So with that, I want to turn now to some of the folks who have supported this new park and are going to help us to make sure it becomes a reality. First, it's my pleasure to introduce your assemblyman and someone who fights for Co-op City and all of New York City in Albany for us all the time, Assemblymember Michael Benedetto.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing City Hall to the Bronx this week. It's just wonderful having you here, and I'm glad to see everybody out here today. Some of my earliest memories comes from the park. I lived down in the Frog's Neck Country Club section, and my mother, when I was a young kid, would wheel me here every day because she heard one of the best things to prevent a young child from acquiring polio, which was the scourge back in the early 50s, was to have the children out in the fresh air of a park, and she would walk me to Pelham Bay Park. And now here I am as an elected official, and I have Pelham Bay Park, the largest park in the city of New York, in my district. And I'm so proud of that. I'm also proud of another park on the other side of my district, Ferry Point Park, which is a gem with great vistas of New York City, and gee, I hope we can get everybody interested in dealing with that. But let me quickly. When I walked into office 13 years ago, in my office, in the Co-op City office, there was a rendering of the Co-op City along Co-op City Boulevard and what was Hutchinson River Parkway and the land. And you can see there was drawing their configuration of a park, a walkway, a passive walkway. And I spent years pulling over everybody I could. Where did this drawing come from? Is there a proposal? And so on. And so a couple of months ago, when meeting with various frustrations I was dealing with in trying to get help for Co-op City on various matters, one of the ideas was, let me throw this out. There might be other people in Co-op City who might be interested in it. And here we are today, where people had open minds and the will to do it. And Mr. Mayor, The single most important reason is not River Bay, and I love the good people at River Bay. It was you and your willingness to put this together and make this done, and boy, am I happy with that. Thank you for this on behalf of Co-op City, but on behalf of myself. You made a dream come true. Thank you. Ooh.
We've been joined by someone everyone here knows and appreciates and respects for what he does for this community and how he fights for us in Washington. What I don't think he expected was to be quite as much in the center in the action of that he is now. Eliot Engel has been thrust into the national spotlight, and I want to tell you, I always thought he was a voice of sanity. But his voice of sanity rings much louder nowadays because the other side of the spectrum is quite clear on a regular basis, but on issues not only for the Bronx and for New York City, but he's one of the most important spokespeople of his party, our party, on international issues. And you see him on the national news all the time, and I got to tell you how reassuring it is to know he's in such a crucial position in the Congress. My honor to present Congressman Eliot Engel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks for those kind words. And I think it's fair to say I got my start in Co-op City. Everybody knows that. I lived here for 26 years, met my wife in room 28, and we've been married for 37 years. All right. And Co-op City has always been a special place, and before Co-op City was Co-op City, it was Freedom Land, and I worked 2 summers in Freedom Land making milkshakes and sodas and all kinds of other things. So this place is part of me, and I think it's fair to say if it wasn't for Co-op City and the big vote that comes out, I wouldn't be where I am today. You know, we overwhelmed every other part of the district, and I was Co-op City's choice. So this is always a very special place to my heart. I'm really glad, and I want to thank the mayor for doing this and working with River Bay and working with the River Bay Board. You know, we have a lot of dedicated people on the River Bay Board. They don't get paid. They're volunteers. They run because they care about the community. And little by little, we see things that 30 and 40 years ago we were told couldn't happen are happening. For instance, we're very hopeful that in the not-too-distant future, we will have Metro North service in Section 5. Yes. Okay. And now we have a wonderful park, or we will have a wonderful park right out here. So where there's a will, there's a way. I've known the mayor for many, many years. I was pleased to support him for his races. And he doesn't take no for an answer. And that's what we need in Co-op City. We need elected officials who roll up their sleeves and do what needs to be done to get things done. And so I'm really very happy that we're going to have this. You know, it used to be, I had a friend years ago who had a boat. And he docked the boat in City Island. And we took the boat out once, and I'm going back, like this is over 30 years, maybe 40 years. And we drove all around, and you saw all different places. And one of the places we drove was right by the Co-op City Fields. Everything was fenced off. You know, it was we have an abundance in the Bronx of water and beautiful land, and then we don't utilize it. We rope it off, or we don't want people to go there. This is a wonderful step, more than a step, a leap in the right direction. And I'm so proud that I was able to see it. So proud of our mayor for doing it. So proud of the River Bay Board, our president of River Bay Board, for working with the community to do this. And I can think of no better place than Co-op City, quite frankly. One of the things we always used to say, I remember when I moved into Co-op City for the first time, I was living with my mother and father. And my parents would say, these rooms, they're so big, they're so beautiful, you can't get anything better. And we had central air and central heating. We called it luxury living. Well, there's a lot of good people in Co-op City. And I'm so honored and pleased to represent it, to continue to represent it. And this is just, again, another wonderful thing. Co-op City is on the move in the right direction, on the move positively. And I know this is the first of many, many improvements we're going to see here. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming here. Thank everyone for the working together as a team. And I'm just honored to represent Co-op City. Thank you.
Well, you know, we sent out the announcement for this press conference, and we asked everyone to dress in very serious business attire. But someone didn't get the memo. But my good friend Andy King, you know him for a lot of reasons, not just his colorful attire, but he's got a lot of heart, and he cares particularly deeply for our young people. And that's so much of what he's done in his life is help our young people. So we knew when we put together this notion of waterfront access and more park space, we knew this would be singing his tune. So it's my pleasure to introduce Councilmember Andy King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, we are going green in Co-op City. All right. I want to say thank you. You are answering dreams today. We're answering dreams. But before we talk about answering dreams, I heard Eva Lazar mention about the waterway and that people will be walking on water. You know something we don't know? The last person that walked on water, I just wanted to, but in a serious note, though, when we talk about the words commitment, love, participation, you know, today is all about that the responsible adults in the mayor and the mayor's administration and River Bay came together to come up with a decision that inspires and helps the residents of Co-op City and the borough of the Bronx as well. And that's what government is supposed to do. Government and community is always supposed to work to make sure that the people come first. And we did that today by announcing that we're going to transform part of the land here at River Bay and making it a public space, park space, a space that we talk about health and mental health, allows people to relieve themselves. How many of us enjoy whistling at the dock of the bay? You know, we're not going to be doing any fishing over here, but we'll get an opportunity to sit down and let your thoughts drift off into the waters. You know, be able to take a stroll on a Sunday afternoon or even a Saturday morning. But whatever it is that makes us feel good, that's what happens when you go into a green space. Something that was lacking on the waters. You know, like I'm a fisherman. And even though I won't be fishing for porgies out here, I'll be fishing for comfort. And I know many of us who live in Co-op City will be doing the same thing when this park is actually completed and developed. So it's a great day in Co-op City. I want to thank all the bright minds in River Bay and the management staff. I want to thank all the electeds, all my colleagues in government who we fight tirelessly to make sure that we represent the people very well. And also, if it wasn't for parks, I got to say, brother, I want to thank you because you have a task in front of you. The council isn't that easy on the Parks Department, but I will say to you, I will be standing with you every bit of the way to help you, whatever we got to do to navigate. And plus, you got the big guy on your side. So you're in good hands, and it's better than Allstate when you got him on your side, all right? So without all this, I want to say thank you to everybody, and we're looking forward to us going green in Co-op City. God bless. Thank you.
Better than Allstate. Well, last but not least at all, I want to give a lot of credit to Linda Burke. You can give her a big round of applause. So Linda was one of the powerful voices that helped to focus us at City Hall on this option. And the great part of it is, you know, like I said before, sometimes it's a great idea, but people don't get their minds right. They don't act on it. The minute we said, okay, Linda, we want to see what it would take. Well, she was right there every step of the way to make sure this happened. And it only happens with someone who's willing to be a leader and step up and say, we're going to get it done. And Linda did that, so you get a lot of credit today. We welcome your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. So on behalf of the River Bay Board of Directors and the shareholders who reside here in this wonderful, large, affordable community, we want to welcome the mayor, and we want to welcome our elected officials who have been representing us and doing well by us. I do want to say that I want to thank Andy King because he held his town hall meeting. He made sure I got my question into the mayor. And he also made sure that the mayor met with us and followed up. But what was most important is when we went to City Hall, Mayor Bill Deblasio came down into the room and sat in there and met with us. And he brainstormed with us. And that was impressive because he took the time to care and he listened. And that was important. And I have been here since 1969. I have looked at that waterfront. It has laid dormant for 50 years. 50 years. And it shouldn't be fenced. It should be opened up. We should be able to see. We have one of the most pristine properties in the city of New York, and yet we're cut off from the most splendid part of it. And so I'm excited that we're going to have an opportunity to do what everyone has said, to sit by the water, enjoy the vistas, enjoy the peace and the quiet and the calm and the civility that we have up here in Co-op City. I am thrilled that the mayor and his staff is looking to develop this property along with the residents of Co-op City. So this isn't them coming in and saying, this is what we're giving you. They're coming in and they're saying, what do you want? What can we do to make your life better? And that's exciting because they refer to it as a partnership. And so we're looking forward to this partnership with the park and maybe a few other things too. We're not done yet. But I appreciate the fact that not only they listened and they said yes, but they moved quickly so that the dream didn't die, but it's flourishing, it's moving on, and I think it's going to catch on like wildfire as people hear about it and see the developments that's happening with it. I do also want to take this time to say we weren't able to do this without our executive general manager, Bob Klinghammer, who was there in City Hall with us. And so I want to thank Bob for his leadership with the management for making it happen, as well as Jeff Buss, our general counsel, who was with us. So thank you, guys. We had a great team in City Hall, and the mayor and his staff were gracious, and they listened, and they've delivered. So forward and onward, we're looking forward to the future. Thank you again.
Excellent. Well said. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well done.